what you think.
Talk about the issues of the world.
What kind of spice you wanna be?
Tell me where you wanna travel.
Do you believe in luxury?
What's your hidden passion?
What makes you so unique?
Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole. Conversations with Nicole.
Conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and it is Monday. It's what I call Man Up Monday. And I am a little dressed down today because I am repping those Rattlers. I'm super duper excited that they beat those Wildcats after 9 years. They say cats only have 9 lives, so it was time for them to go. So I've been repping the Rattlers all day. See, I got on my orange and green here. Look. So I'm just so proud of the Rattlers. Coach Simmons and his team, just the coaching team and the football team just did their thing. So kudos to those Rattlers on the field. We appreciate you. And you are going to the playoffs. So we are excited about that too and wishing you well. Definitely cheering you on all the way. So before we get started with me introducing my guests, y'all know how I do. Put your city and state in the comments because I definitely want to shout you out. This is an interactive live. It is focused on the men, but the women can chime in as well. Again, it's Man Up Monday, and we want to have an open and honest dialogue. This is a conversation, not only between me and my guests, but with you all as well. So I see you, IPI TV from the NYC. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know if that's one of my guests' invites, but I appreciate you being on here. So while you all are, we are actually live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Roku TV via the Greater Works Network, which is my network. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your frenemies, tell everybody they need to be on here tonight because we're going to have a great conversation. I've talked to you all a couple times about normalizing that mental health discussion. So we're going to dive in. So this brother I have met on Facebook, actually. He has been a regular on the Single in the City Where Kings Meet Queens broadcast that we started doing back last year during the pandemic. And just has been, a supporter not only of that show, but of my show of Conversations with Nicole. And he is a clinician. So I'm going to give you a little bit from his bio before I bring him on. So Mr. Ozzie Daniel served in the U.S. Navy for 20 years. He obtained his Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology and then his Master's of Science in Leadership. He's worked as a counselor at a psychiatric center, and he currently is a contractor as a case manager for Virginia Support Services. He's a clinician, family coordinator, mental health builder, and he's worked with young men in the community and help them establish better care for homeless men and those with mental conditions through coordination. He also appears live on Rebuilding Lives Again, a faith-based platform encouraging and adding value to people's lives through the Word of God. So, without further ado, help me welcome Mr. Ozzie Daniel.
Good evening. Welcome. Thank you so much, Nicole, for this wonderful introduction and great evening. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like y'all to know y'all have one of the best ladies in the world to have conversation with. And she hosts a whole lot of platform, and I enjoy listening to her and just flowing. You know, she have this even flow, like a river just flowing down just flowing. And all you got to do is just catch a wave. That's all you can do is catch a wave. So I'm happy tonight when she actually gave me the invitation to come on, and I said, "Man up Monday."
Yes,
I
man
said,
up Monday.
I said, you can't beat that because here it is. It's Monday Night Football. And, and we men love to watch our football. I mean, majority
Ew.
of the men, I don't know about all men, but
Mhm.
majority of men love watching football. But purpose serve a greater reason for being here tonight and
Indeed.
supporting your platform and supporting whatever your vision is. And I am grateful to be part of it for an hour of power.
Yes, the hour of power. I love it. I love it. So let me give a shout out to Guy from Port St. Lucie. We got Orion Shamant. Good evening.
From Michigan.
In Michigan. Okay, wonderful. Marlon, right here in Tallahassee. Shayla, my sister, who's down in Broward, South Florida area. And Miss Princess, who's right here in Tallahassee. Thank you all for being on the live with us. This is interactive. Oh, and my cousin D out of the NYC. He's down there. He's up there in Long Island. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So Ozzie,
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
we have been engaging for well over a year now. So
Hey,
I read your bio, but tell the folks, who is Ozzie? Not what Ozzie does, but who is Ozzie?
who am I?
Yes.
Well, that's quite interesting. Well, I'm actually from St. Croix, Virgin Islands, and I lived there for, majority of my life, 18 years. And then I moved up to Connecticut, lived there for a while. And then I started pursuing my career, and I have been married. And since my marriage dissolved back in 2008, I went on a soul search and really going into a deeper depth of understanding who I am as a person, as a man, and really uncovering a lot of hidden truth that needed to be resolved within my own self, and to get to know who I am as a person so I could live a life of purpose, live a life meaningful, and able to reach out and touch others' life to really bring about truth as I move along this journey. I enjoy watching sports and enjoy living this great life as best as I can. And even through the pandemic, I still had to find a whole different path into evolving throughout this whole ordeal, even though we didn't had no kind of interaction socially because a lot of shutdown, but we did find a lot of different ways to interact with each other, because if COVID was not going on, we probably would have been meeting and really interacting more, even in Zoom or just other platform. But this have kind of evolved even higher into reach others and meet others and to interact with others in such a dynamic way. So anything you all would like to know throughout this whole conversation, feel free, ask, but I love adding value to people and stimulating one mind into growth.
Okay.
That's who I am.
Nice, 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 nice. All right. Let me see. We got Linda Love. She said Virginia in the house. So
Yes.
appreciate that.
Appreciate that, Linda.
Yeah. So Ozzie is in Virginia Beach. He said it's a little chilly up there right now. Been a little rainy today, but that's all. It's all good.
It's
So,
all good.
Ozzie, how did you get involved in mental health?
Well, that's quite an interesting question, because after my naval career working into the information system technician field, working in buildings and working on equipments and working on all kind of different platform into the infrastructure of communication.
Mm-hmm.
After I finished my tour in Afghanistan and Iraq for 1 year completely, I saw my mind started to change.
Mm.
I started to see a lot of things in a whole different light, and how people started to deal with ADHD and the issues that go back. They serve overseas and then they go back home, and they still didn't leave overseas. Back in overseas, they brought it in with them, and it started creating a whole roller coaster within their own being. And then it started just having a lot of destruction in the home, a lot of disturbance in the home. So I always cared about people, and I always believe I'm a people person. And even while I was in the Navy, I always had this kind of interaction with people. People usually come to me and discuss issues, discuss problems, and here I am just kind of talking things through with them. So I started to find out that, hey, Linda, she's in St. Croix,
Oh, nice.
1 hour ahead. So it passed her bedtime. so, so at that time, I just started to see a change. And the same time, I started going through some things in my own life. So after I saw that, I just started to really, within me, I started moving into a whole new direction. And I said, well, let me go back to school and study psychology, because I wanted to get a better understanding of who I am, not to go psychoanalyze anyone or try to, teach anyone in any kind of way, but to understand who I am and what make me move, what make my brain tick, what actually make me who I am and what I supposed to be in this life, and live it purposeful, and then as I started going, I started working with others, and then I really started getting the heat of it, because now you started dealing with mental diagnosis, mental issues, and all kind of different mental illness, all the way to schizophrenia, and my heart started to go out, and the compassion, the empathy towards them. And I started to think a little deeper. I started to find, hey, Mary Phillips, thanks for being on tonight. I actually started to really look at things deeper. And then I wanted to know, well, okay, if this is what's going on with this person and that person, what's really going on in the home? So throughout my whole platform of really working in the psychiatric center, then things start to change, because here now I got shifted to start working with others in the home. So here it is. I started to see what really started to go on in the home, and the interactions that goes on in the home, and how the environment could such have an impact on somebody's mind.
Okay.
And how it changes their behavior.
So now we're talking nature versus nurture, right?
Yes.
Right.
And I said to myself, well, until they change their own thinking and really start to adapt into a desire for change, this is going to be a long road and a long process. Why? Because of influence in the home. If you have influence in the home and you're not strong enough to stand up to those challenges, the only thing you're going to do is bow down to it, and it's going to affect you. And then it's going to end up being hardwired in you. And then it's going to take a longer process to really get over that. So it's not a case of just medication. It's all about how you treat that person and how you interact with that person. Because if you see that person supposed to be a certain way, your own perception, your own lens, and you figure, well, you're supposed to be this way and behaving that way, and you're not doing that, now you end up saying, Well, I'm going to make sure you do it by pressuring you and belittling you to the lowest so you could get motivated, which is a wrong thing, because negativity is the road to all illnesses. Every negative thing we say out of our mouth, it interfere and interact with our body, and it start downgrading our whole mental capacity.
You going deep. Look at you. we didn't even get started with our first you going in.
It's reality. And when we start to face the reality of it, we're not going to play around with it too much, because we're going to know, well, this is real sensitive, So even someone that is well dressed, carrying themselves well, you don't know what's really going on inside of that person's mind, because only you alone know what's going on in your mind. Nobody else know than just you. So it takes that deep soul, getting within the soul where it's all pure and infinite, to really start getting that subconsciousness to build up into that consciousness. Because if we don't do that, it's going to be trouble, and it's going to expand. It's going to actually start flooding and influence the whole community. So the big question is, you don't have to be a mental health builder or mental health provider or working in some psychiatric or psychological, something God gave each one of us called common sense. But if we take that and balance it and really go into his word and start understanding what his word says, now we'll be able to start living and thinking on a soul level instead of just a material level, because here it is in Proverbs 23:7 says, for as he thinks within himself, so is he. So everything starts from within. Every thought starts from within. So everything begins with a thought. So whether it's positive or whether it's negative, it's thought and originate with a thought. So how we feed that on a regular basis is really going to magnify in such a way to really push us into life. So there's a soul saying, what is life all about? Right? And the answer to that is keep on living and you will find out. But you have to start living from within the soul and not just what the eyes see on the outside, because all of that changes.
So we're going to go a little out of order just based on what you are talking about. So let's talk about desire. What is desire to you?
Desire to me is one of the most important things that you have to have in order to fulfill purpose. If you don't have a deep burning desire, you cannot fulfill that purpose, because the desire comes in, then it magnified to the thoughts, and then the thoughts actually follow into action. So just for example, right? You had a desire at one point of your life to do what you're doing now. But during that whole entire time, you had to probably go through a couple roadblocks here. You had to probably get a couple things ironed out here. You probably had to build a team. You probably had to get some education into fulfilling that desire that you had within you. But during that process, what did you end up doing? You keep that vision. So in that vision is going to either come positive or negative. So even though you get the negative, you have to be aware. So we have to be aware by taking the positive and the negative. You can't leave one without the other. But the only thing that we have to magnify on is the positive. So desire is the first thing to bring out that feelings within us and to make us feel enthusiastic into fulfilling that thought.
Okay.
And then things start to flow.
So with desire, if I'm hearing you correctly,
Mhm.
it's a combination of feelings and thoughts.
It's a combination of feelings and thoughts, but it must be parallel and alignment together, because one of the biggest thing that comes against that desire is doubt.
Mm.
So when that doubt comes, now you start questioning yourself on, is this real or this is unreal? Am I just going through the motion, or this is something really deep seated within me? So if it's deeply seated within me, how am I going to go about pursuing that goal? Now, that's where education comes in. That's where knowledge comes in. That's where getting the right informations come in to build that self up. But at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
we have to remember that our character must be in alignment with that goal and that self-discipline. So one of the big question is, what is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, and what's the last thing you do before you go to bed? That's going to set forth your desire, your goal, and what you really want to do. Some people actually focus on, well, all I care about is making that money. I got to make that money. So they'll spend all of that time just figuring ways how to make money and increase. But even in Mark chapter 8, verse 36 and 37 says, for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his own soul? For what could a man give in exchange for his soul? So nothing wrong in gaining, but sometimes we worry about gaining and get to increasing in riches, but yet we ignore what matters most, the soul. So if we don't really focus what's within the soul and the soul itself, we cannot hear God's voice. We cannot hear the clear voice that needs to direct us in whatever circumstances that we may face and what decision making we need to make. So one of the most important things we need to focus on is building our mental immunity.
Okay.
So how do we do that? You got to feed it with positivity and continue to face it every single day of your life. So what you get up in the morning to do, I know one thing I could share what I do in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I do when I get up in the morning, I meditate.
Okay.
I meditate for about 40 minutes. I lay there, close my eyes, and I just let my mind just process. It clears everything, any doubt. And when I get up, of course, I give thanks and I study the word. But now I am starting that day on a positive note. Now, what I do when I go to bed, I do the same thing again. Now, it's not a whole 40 minutes because brother man ready to go to sleep. So, get a little short minute there, about 15 minutes, because after that, I'm gone. See you later, But it's habits. It boils down to habits. Everything boils down to habits. So if you have a habit of doing that, it's going to set a trend and it's going to expand your mind.
So now we're talking about discipline, right?
We're talking about discipline.
Okay.
Got to be self-disciplined, So what are we doing to discipline ourselves? Are we spending a lot of time gossiping on the phone? Are we spending a lot of time watching television that really not impacting on our purpose and our decision making? What are we doing with that? Are we going to just change our thinking and change our ways and our habits? Because if there's no self-discipline, how are you going to be able to work in a group? How are you going to be able to influence a group? How are you going to build a group if you yourself are not disciplined. It all starts with habits.
So this is Man Up Monday.
Man it up.
So what advice or tips would you give to the men as it relates to discipline?
One of the biggest thing that even I as a man that I had to really focus on, how do I start my day? What do I give into my day? And it all starts with, I mean, some people may like, oh, that may not be deep enough. It starts with my thoughts. You know, you start having positive thoughts, it start increasing your vision. So when I start my thoughts, the first thing I do, I start having a heart of gratitude and appreciation. You have to have a heart of gratitude and appreciation, because if you're not living in the now and bringing everything into the now, you're so worried about tomorrow. You're so worried about living in your past. You're so worried about all the damages that was done in your past. And then it started affecting your self-esteem.
Mm.
And then it started affecting your self-confidence. So therefore, the discipline must change. And it's not about having a discipline into keeping up with the Joneses, or, oh, he bought a new iPhone 13, so I need to get an iPhone 13, or he got a new car, so, oh, I need to get a new car, or whatever model it may be. And a lot of people end up spending so much time focusing on the materialistic things of life, and they ignore what really matters from within their own soul, that only them and God knows what's going on. So if we actually start listening to the inner voice and we start disciplining ourselves, we'll be living our true purpose. And that is the true discipline. You know, you're going to always have some kind of influence on the outside with people trying to say, well, let's do this or let's go here. But purpose always override everything. And it starts with your thoughts. If you start doing what you need to be doing and minding your own business, now you're going to save yourself from collateral damage. We're going to save ourselves from, oh man, if I had this, or if I had that, or if I had this wife, or if I had this other thing here, I'd probably be where I need to be. But no, you can't live in that mindset, because it is the wrong mindset to have. You got to live in the now and live in gratitude and appreciation, and start focusing on what's going on within me right now that I need to address.
So, you know, social media, and we hear this a lot, plays a role in influencing us in terms of, you know, what we see, and impacts I think our desire to some extent, because we see what other people may be doing, or what they have, or what their experiences are. So any thoughts or any suggestions around social media, and you know how?
Start changing your platforms.
Okay.
Stop following people, because Facebook give you that cue to follow, default, or have that person as your favorite to follow. So you could actually make all those changes and start controlling your reception and your perception on what you are viewing, because all of that start to affect your mind. And if you're not being the influencer, now you are the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because the brain is nothing but a broadcast station. It sends and it receives. It doesn't know the real or the unreal. We just have to make that decision to say, okay, I'm going to accept this. I'm not going to accept that. So I'm going to actually say, well, you know what? This person is not speaking real good words, and they're all negative, because we are able to discern what's positive and negative. We just choose to feed into it. So if it feeding into it, that means whatsoever man thinketh, so is he. So that's basically speaking of what's going on inside of you. And if it's going on inside of you, that means you making resonation with it and you're attaching yourself to it. So the only way to depart is to bring separation from it, you know?
Yeah, I think, oftentimes we don't really recognize how much the things that we see and hear affect us,
Mm-hmm.
our thoughts and feelings. And so we have got to guard our eye gate, our ear gate, because those, the things that we expose ourselves to do have an influence on us. We might
Yes,
not think that it does because maybe we didn't process it at the time, but it's in there.
it's in there. And guess what? Every negative thing, when I say every negative thing that we start meditating upon, it start affecting our health. And then you start talking about, well, this hurt and that hurt. And everything that we start meditating on in such a way, it end up starting to magnify itself. Because if we start listening to what we're really saying, now we'll be able to say, you know what? That is not a healthy thing for me to say. So I need to change my thinking. So when I change my thinking, my words are going to follow. But some of us just so accustomed because it's so hardwired, we end up just flowing and flowing. And next thing you know, we can't sleep at night. We up all night. And then we end up turning to insomnia. And then the less sleep you get, then you start following to dementia. And then you start forgetting. And if you can't reflect on everything that you did yesterday, now we're starting to have some real mental issues going on in the mind.
Yeah, poor sleep or sleep habits have a lot of other, it's a ripple effect, not only memory loss, but stress. There's some weight gain that's associated with it, a whole bunch of things. So getting proper rest, getting, enough rest is very, very important.
It's very important. And you know something? I used to stay up like 11, 12 o'clock. Then I go to bed and then I'm up sometime at 5 and 6. So I started to make my changes. And you see, that's one thing about us. We have that willpower. God gave us a free will, but we have that willpower to change whatever needs to be changed. So if you see something is not working, start making that change. So what I started to do, 10 o'clock, I shut everything off. Sometimes the game is going on. I said, I'll find out who win in the morning. I just won't turn on my phone to see who won. I'll just wait till the morning to do a recap on YouTube, and then I'll find out who won the game. But if we're not starting to value our sleep, we are ignoring our mental immunity. So if you're not getting 6 to 7 or 8 hours of rest a night, you are causing damage to your liver. And then your diet start to change, your eating habits start to change, and then you start figuring, why just want this and why just want that? And then why can't stop? And then the liver start making its own decision of saying, well, this will go to fat storage. This will be used for energy. And then we don't really focus on how we're actually nourishing our bodies. Now, one thing we need to understand is this, right? Our body is a vehicle. I don't know what kind of car everyone drive, a bicycle you ride, but that is a vehicle. Don't matter what, if you go into a GPS address and 100 people go in there to meet there, they're going to get in some type of transportation to get there. So that is a vehicle. So your body is a vehicle for your soul.
Some people driving Lamborghinis, others are driving Corollas or a Kia.
Ooh, what a Pinto.
A
Let's go back
Pinto,
to the 60s. You
a
know what I mean?
gremlin.
They bring out the oldie but goodie, the antique vehicle.
Hmm.
So it's our body is a vehicle for the soul.
Yes.
So if we're not taking care of the body, the soul only goes as long as the body goes, because once the body say, well, I can't go no more, it go back to the maker.
Right.
So we have to really take pride into how we take care of our bodies if we want to be there for our children, our grandchildren, because it's a blessing to see your children. you
Hmm.
know. But if we get ready for Thanksgiving, and one of my friends sent me a list, right? And the list listed all the food for 4 people in a Caucasian family with their dog, right? Which was about 7 to 8 items. You got your turkey, your mashed potato, mac and cheese, your salad. And then it came to the black people. Now the list was so long, I had to hit the button to actually continue reading. And I said, no, they didn't. They had sardines on there too. And I mean, you talk about the chitlins, the turkey, the ham, the pie, pumpkin. I mean, they just name it, right? But what I'm saying is this: it's okay to feast and have a good time, but watch your portion this Thanksgiving, as
Hmm.
as you sup with everyone else and you enjoy this wonderful time of family gathering or friendsgiving or whatever it may be. But
Right.
you need to start taking on that consciousness.
Indeed.
Start taking on that consciousness and start putting that self-discipline into place, and don't worry about what friends are saying or what family is saying and what your relatives are saying and what they think or say about you, because at the end of the day, you only got to answer to you, and you got to trust yourself. A
Right.
lot of people don't trust themselves. They doubt themselves, and then here goes another issue to the health, because now it end up being a hypochondria.
Hmm.
And that end up being such an issue at the end of the day, because what you going to do when you actually start feeling all that pain and agony based on your own words?
Hmm. So again, we're talking about discipline. I'm writing notes. I hope you all are jotting some things down too. So I heard you say meditate,
Hmm.
changing your thoughts from negative to positive,
Hmm.
reading the word, having
Hmm.
an attitude of gratitude,
Hmm.
living in the now, and taking care of your body, which consists of your diet, which consists of getting ample rest. We got Nick on the line, and Nick says what you listen to in the first 20 minutes of your day can shape your day, which has already been mentioned. So
Yes.
again, it's just important to
Good point, Nick.
discipline, because you'll begin to develop good habits that will assist with your good mental health and the longevity of your life.
Yeah, and being there for your children, because your children actually follow and imitate you,
Hmm.
whether you know it or not. And especially what you're saying to motivate them and inspire them. Are you feeding them positive notes? Are you giving them word of encouragement? Are you giving them positive reinforcement? Or are you giving them negative reinforcement?
Hmm.
Which one?
Okay.
So we need to basically start leaning more on the positive by start working from within our own self, and don't tolerate negativity. Don't tolerate gossip. Start separating yourself from it, because guess what? As a man thinketh within, so is he.
Hmm.
So you can't be like, oh, I'm not like that. But next thing you know, you're picking up the phone, talking to Nicole and telling Nicole what you just heard this person was saying,
Hmm.
instead of talking about ideas. Because if you want to evolve, you got to heighten your mind. You can't have ideas and be able to be successful if you're not heightening up your mindset. Forget about people thinking like, oh, he think he's too good or she too good or he think all that. That's negative. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's a mute. Just mute that person. That is not me. I am not accepting that. I am
Mm-hmm.
not going to receive that. So mute it. You know,
Shut
let
it
them
down.
come around. But
Shut
you keep evolving. You
it.
know,
Okay. Okay.
yes.
Well, I think that's a good segue to our final topic, which is fear of criticism. But before we go there, just for those of you who are just watching us, I am having a conversation with Ozzie Daniel. He is a mental health builder, counselor in the Virginia Beach area. I've gotten to know him over the past year and a half via our singles lives that we do, and just a real sharp brother that just has a heart for the people. So we've been talking about desire and discipline, and now going to transition into fear of criticism. And again, it's Man Up Monday, so let's
Man up.
yes, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Are men fearful of criticism?
Men are fearful of criticism. Men are so fearful of criticism that they will change into the latest gear just so nobody will talk about them or look down upon them. They will actually spend their last dollar to go buy the latest gadget just so nobody will criticize and say, well, oh, you got this, why you ain't got that? So, I always have a soul saying that impression leads to depression.
Hmm. Impression leads to depression.
It leads to depression,
Wow.
So, and as Marlon says, yes, it leads to ego. And you know what ego really stand for? Everybody got one.
I
Yeah.
like that. Everybody got one.
Everybody got one. So when people say, well, yeah, I ain't got no ego. Yes, you do, but you have to learn humility. Humility is very, very important. And one of the big thing about criticism is one of the symptoms of fear is so self-consciousness to
Hmm.
the point it builds nervousness, timidity, lack of poise, poor body posture, your eye is just have some irregularity movements, using big words to impress others, and it really don't make no sense. Boasting about your income, you know, and lack of initiative. And at the same time, so scared to share your own ideas.
Hmm.
So how are you going to build if you're unable to share? Is because of that same situation. So what you got to do, you got to change your think. It really comes down to changing your thinking and your mindset. Some people want to spend so much time fitting in. What about trying to stand out
Hmm.
and be a strong leader? Be a strong leader for yourself, be a strong leader for your own, be a strong leader for your community.
Oh, wait.
Of
Ozzy, you have said some things there. Listen, I, that's a whole word because I think in some regards we tend to act kind of high schooly about things. It's like we want to stand out, but we don't want to stand out.
timidity,
Hmm.
being timid.
Yeah.
Oh, I may not sound too good. I may not sound too right. Oh, so when you start talking, you could hear all that shaking in the voice and the body. That's lack of self-confidence. So where do you go into to get that self-confidence? Within. And you got, it's not going to come from outside. A lot of people think, yeah, I may be able to share some words of wisdom and share some great information, and you may be able to take a whole hour of what you just heard, but are you going to take it and apply it?
Mm.
So if you're not going to take it and apply it, it's just poof, nothing but air, right? So, but if you actually listening now and it's resonating with you, now that should be able to build that confidence within you to say, you know what? I'm going to start making some changes. Guess what? You start living in your now right now.
Mm-hmm.
You started to make a change right now. And you say, you know what? I'm going to start doing this starting today. And then that's going to start building up into a habit. And next thing you know, you really started to share your experience because all we could do is share our experience and build each other up and work together as a unity, you know?
So let me ask you this, and real quick, I'm gonna put LaDon's question up here. We're gonna circle back to him. He wants to know why is mental health looked at as negative in the Black community. So LaDon, we're gonna put a pin in it and come back to you. But as it relates to criticism, do you think some of the fear is rooted in rejection? And particularly amongst men, because, I think with men, especially in relationships, right? They are historically have been the pursuers, right? And so sometimes they get turned down. You at the dance and you asking the young lady if she want to dance and she say no. Now you feeling, rejected, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
that can not feel so good, right?
mhm.
And so I don't know if there's a correlation between rejection and criticism, but share a little bit of your thoughts on that.
Okay, well, I don't look at it as a rejection, you know. You see, that man have to change his mindset.
Hmm.
Now, if that woman you asked to dance with, right? I'm gonna keep it real.
Hmm.
As I am anyways, that's the only way it's gonna
Okay.
come out. But
Come on,
if
bring
you
it.
ask that lady to dance, right? Is that the only lady in the ballroom or in the dance hall area? No. If she said no, ask somebody else. Now,
Okay.
if everybody said no, well, I could understand. Something about you is not lining up within. So, hey, maybe a hygiene issue. Hey,
Okay.
it could be something that you're not taking care of yourself to really send out that vibration from within you to make that connection because that woman have that sixth sense that she could feel how you making her feel by your approach. What are you saying? You know, I mean, I can't. You'll have to get offline with me so you can get educated on your lines. But what are you saying to really get it flowing? Are you just coming to her and ask her to dance, or are you starting a conversation like conversation with Nicole? Are you starting a conversation, or you just want to dance? Now, some guys will feel awkward if a woman come to him and ask him to dance.
Hmm.
And I have seen it before. So how do you feel about that? So if there's some issues going on within you and you feel rejected, now you need to go within yourself and find out what's really going on in you and address it.
So that brings up a good point, which also I think is relative to the criticism piece, and that's self awareness, right? So being able to check in with yourself to find out, like, kind of question, like, why did this person say no to me? Like you said, could it be a hygiene problem or issue? Could it be a timing issue? Maybe she have a boyfriend, whatever. You don't know, but just think about those things and not necessarily just go negative with it. So to bring that to the criticism piece, I think oftentimes with criticism, people get defensive, people get um they're offended, and I think there's a certain level of self-awareness that probably needs to take place in terms of, why am I taking offense, why am I um you know on edge or uptight about something somebody said to me.
Right. And that is so important, Nicole. And if that person don't sit back and really address everything that you just said and start questioning themselves, the answer will never come. And then they start acting out in rage, in jealousy, and starting to have all kind of friction with other people. But a person that have a fear of criticism, it robs them of their initiatives. It destroys their imagination, their individuality, and self-reliance. So it destroys all of these things at one time. It's like almost like a domino effect. And then they end up starting to have health issues because now they start to get real negative from within.
Yes.
So if they don't really pull back and say, well, I need to start looking at myself, probably you may need to start reading some books. I have from 2008 till now, I think I've read over 60 books on self-development and even relationship, singleness, marriage, divorce, separation after divorce, and all of these things. Why? Because it is very important to know, because that's part of my makeup. So if you're not preparing for it and preparing for the long run, you're preparing to fail.
Absolutely.
So your thinking is actually going to prepare you to succeed, or it's going to prepare you to fail. But if you fail, stand again. If you fail and make a mistake, try again. That's where you're going to start building up that mental stamina.
Yes. A
lot of brothers are scared to do that because they get intimidated by what their other friends are saying, and they're not feeding them the right information than a bunch of nonsense. So they take that negativity and become more negative. And you know what they end up becoming? The devil workshop.
Making a whole movie out of you.
Yeah. So then
that's what I call it.
Yeah.
Not gonna make a movie out of me today.
There you go.
So
they have to get out of that doubt, get out of that fear. All men. I mean, I have asked a woman to dance before, and she said, no, not right now. I don't feel like dancing, and then, okay, I may throw a line to you. You need me to rub your feet, and then they start laughing. And next thing you know, they're on the dance floor.
Right.
Guess what? They just start chuckling and laugh like, oh, you too funny, Yeah. But, you have to kind of lighten up things, lighten it up. Because if you're coming in stiff and looking all hard and all macho, man, come on, go fly a kite.
Right.
Go fly a kite. You have to work on your social skills. Work on your social skills, work on your people skills, because a woman could see from a distance, okay? In a woman's psyche. I have a lot of lady friends that I converse with, and I listen to them, but at the same time, I'm making the changes and the adjustment in my mind to even become a better man. Not a negative way to start feeding into it, but change. And one thing men have to understand is be a master of adjustment and flexibility.
Be a master of adjustment and flexibility.
Be a master of it.
Okay. So
and that will help propel in this life.
Would that be the equivalent of a pivot?
A pivot?
Yes. We heard a lot about pivoting, like in business and whatnot, as a result of COVID.
Like you hit that hard curve and get to that lane. Oh yes.
You gotta adapt. You gotta adjust.
You gotta adapt. You have to adapt. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
And if you're unable to do that, practice the little things. That's how we build up. Because every day of my life, I am observing something new.
Yes.
And awareness Rashonda, you are super late. You owe about $20 into the Nicole
Leave
Fund.
her alone. She was at an event. She was at the same event I
Good
was at.
evening. Good evening. Good evening. I had to throw that out there. You put it up.
And wait, before you go on, Ozzie, there was a comment that I wanted to bring up.
Woo.
Sharika just kind of summarized everything that you were just talking about: discipline, how you living your best life, change your thoughts, get your sleep, feed your soul. What are you doing to motivate? Don't tolerate negativity. Change your thinking. Be a leader. Stand out. You have to get that self-confidence from within. So I just wanted to put that out there because I thought she really did a good job of summarizing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a very good note right there.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Somebody's attentive.
They taking notes. They taking notes.
That is good because, that's one of the things that we need to really understand so we could be able to be more constructive in that's right, Marlon. Absolutely. And you know what? Don't get scared when people don't want to come into your company and you end up thinking that something is wrong with you, because no, they may not want to dwell in that company because they may get exposed. But you see, when you actually turn it into a positiveness so they could grow and learn, a lot of people don't want to grow and learn because the brain could be lazy. Very lazy. That's why it only understands habits.
All right. It only understands habits. Marlon said a disciplined man is a dangerous man.
It is a dangerous man. I tell you, the vision that comes with it really, really send a catapult into the future. So we have to always look at one thing as men, is being honest, self-control, and having a generous heart, because we are leaders. So if we're going to be leaders in our community, we have to start aligning ourselves to what we need to be doing and living a life out of integrity. And once we discipline on doing that on a regular basis, it will build up our influence and people will want to invite us in to be an educator or teacher or influencer to really bring unity together. Because if we're not uniting together, we're dividing. So that means if we're dividing, we're not walking in love. And exactly, Marlon, alignment. So who we are aligning with?
Right. Who are we aligning with? Very good question.
That is for your soul to answer. I know who my soul is aligning with, and it consistently keeping in alignment. And it's sharpening my mind and my purpose every single day of my life. Why? Because I refuse to get off course. Now, in my younger days, I was broad. I was all over the place. No discipline whatsoever. But at the same time, things start to happen. And then I'm like, okay, I need to pay attention to that. I don't like how that felt. I don't like how that happened. Ooh, how many people have ever said, if I only saw that coming? Well, guess what? If you discipline yourself, you will see it coming and you'll be able to make that adjustment and take that pivot, as Nicole just said. You'll be able to make that adjustment. And that's called awareness.
Yes.
Awareness is everything.
All right. Marlon said it's about surrendering to the divine.
All right. And that's the truth right there.
All right. So I'm going to circle back to LaDon's question, which was, why is mental health looked at as a negative in the Black community? What's your thoughts on that, Ozzie?
One of the reasons why is looked at is such a negative way, because for a long time, even through slavery and going through the emancipation and going through all that changes, the mindset has not changed. So a lot of people actually think that, well, I got to be strong. And if I end up showing some kind of weakness, it make me weak. But we cannot get the confusion with being strong and weak and mental illness, because there may be something that we have experienced in our life that causing some kind of harm into our body and our feeling. It could be your environment. But at the same time, if you look at it as a weakness, that means there's an ego issue going on.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing wrong with me. Your foot bleeding, but you're still saying nothing wrong with me. That's the same thing as saying your mind is really aching and your body and your soul is telling you, get the help that you need. But then on your conscious level, you can't deal with it because you're not dealing with the subconscious level, and it end up being an issue. So therefore, here goes another problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's the stigma that is actually placed out there. But now we could see in the community now, even in the sports arena, that now is being talked about even more, because even in competition, if you're unable to stand up and be strong and compete to the fullest extent, well, you're being weak if you're not going to bring in mental health. Oh, don't want to play. Now, here goes the criticism now.
Mm-hmm.
So now, are you going to accept those criticism, or are you going to make the changes that you feel bad? Because sometimes you got to give people time to catch up, because they're so way behind, they are not catching up to where you at, because their mind is still somewhere else thinking about other things that somebody else written on their brain.
Mm.
So where are you getting your information from? So basically, now that is becoming more exposed into the environment that been causing all of the issues, now it takes a voice to start really pointing out a lot of different issues that is going on. Just like tonight, Man Up Mondays, hey, we speaking to the men, we speaking to the women that support the man, to be an encouragement to the man, to be a support to a man, and let them see, hey, I got your back, I got you support. Now I just need you to take the initiative and stop being lack of initiative and start taking into what you really need to be. And yes, Marlon, condition.
Mm-hmm.
And it come down to the same introduction, thoughts.
Right.
And if you don't think that your thoughts is powerful, you need to think again.
Mm-hmm.
Your words got weight. Because if your words is transferred, somebody's receiving it, and then they have to feel it through, and they either strong enough to discard it and overlook that offense, or they're going to take it in, incubate it, and then you're going to get hell out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think oftentimes we don't realize not only are the persons we are speaking to the hearers of those words, but we are the hearers of those words as well.
Yes.
And so what effect, what impact do our words have on us? And what are we speaking?
Exactly. And then it really going to show forth in our habits. Our habits going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Our methods are going to change. Then we're not going to be self-disciplined no more, because now we actually feel you. Whatever we said, our mind and our body start following through. Because remember, the brain sometimes it really don't know what's real or unreal. It's only by habits and our own thoughts, and whatever we believe, that's what's really going to fall through. So using a faith method into a deeper spiritual way, now we have something more concrete to stand on to help direct and guide our mind processes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what are you using as a tool for your guide? And are you being disciplined to that guide, or are you being a hypocrite on it?
Mm.
Because only you alone gonna know. Other people may observe, and the wise may be able to observe and discern, but only you alone gotta do it. You know, you gotta be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be true to yourself, and then somebody else will believe and trust you. So Do your friend find you trustworthy? Do your family find you trustworthy? It's all about your habit and your conviction and your integrity.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, it starts with you first. So
It always going to start with you. It's going to start with me. I got to deal with me every single day, alone or in a group or in company. I always have to deal with me. So how comfortable I am with myself, maybe somebody else may want to dance with me then, because they're going to feel like, hey man, I like your spirit. I like how I feel around you. You sound like someone that I would like to be in good company with.
right.
Then next thing you know, you're on the fifth song, brother. So the key is to work on yourself,
Work on yourself.
work on yourself. It's called
Absolutely.
self-development,
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
basically you'll be able to sustain everything that comes along. you
Mhm.
know you'll be able to protect yourself, protect your eyes, protect your ears, still be aware of what's going on, but be able to discern exactly what's going down
Okay.
you know
So Rashonda asks, what are we using as a tool to guide us towards a better me?
Okay, answer the question, Rashonda. What are you using? What are you using now? What do I use? Okay, I use the word. I
Mhm.
study that. I read a lot of different books of interest. I read different magazines of interest. So it really, yes, Rashana, it boils down to your faith. So
Mhm.
your faith is a great and a wonderful foundation to guide you through life. you
Mhm.
know so a lot of people have their faith in different religion, but is your religion leading you to positivity,
Mm.
or is it leading you to segregation and separation from all other sect because you think that you are so holier than thou? But then that bring on unholiness, which leads to doubt, envy, jealousy,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden now it's just going to lead to chaos.
Mhm.
So what is your faith? I mean, I really dig into deep into studying into what I need to help build myself, and I stay consistent on that study.
So you ask a lot of questions.
I ask a lot of questions, and guess what? Through my meditation, I get a lot of answers, because then I get prompted from within to go to different books, to go to different articles, and the answer is always there available for me to find out. And
Mm.
guess what that does? It boosts up my confidence level even more, because now I feel like, oh, I'm alone, but I'm really not alone,
Mhm.
because now I have a guide within me guiding me through this thing called life.
Right.
So as I said before, keep on living and your life will show you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, this has been quite the conversation.
Yes, it has. It
Yes,
really was a great conversation.
indeed, indeed. I hope our viewers have found this to be beneficial. So, Ozzy, I know you are a mental health practitioner.
Mhm.
How can folks connect with you?
Well, you could connect with me on Facebook, or you could email me, or just hit me up in Messenger. Any kind of information that you want to get, just hit me up in Messenger, and I will give you whatever information to help better you or guide you into whatever field you want to get into, or any questions that you may have. Feel free. I am open.
Now, do you have an area or a specialty or certain um, populations that you serve?
I serve the whole, well, my main branch is in Manassas, Virginia, and
Mhm.
my branch is in Suffolk, but I serve Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Portsmouth, and those surrounding areas.
Okay.
So usually the people that I do serve, they either had to be hospitalized or have a letter from the psychiatrist
Okay.
stating that they needed that services, and I'm able to help them. Yes.
Okay. All right.
You're welcome, Princess.
Yes.
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 Thanks for coming on tonight. I really appreciate their time.
Yeah. Um, any other closing thoughts or any other remarks as we prepare to shut down that you wish to share, Ozzie?
Well, I saved this last statement because I know Miss Nicole was going to come with that last pointer. The reason why I know that because I listen to her all the time, and she always get that last one in.
Uh-huh.
So what I would say is this: your mind is your spiritual estate. You got to protect it and use it for as a divine royalty sees fit for as it's really entitled to be. You are royal, you are important, and if you don't think that you're not important to God and your creator, I need you to rethink that, because you are so important to him and you are so useful to him even in this present time that you are valuable. So start thinking about yourself on a high value and start building up your character, start building up your mindset to meet that requirement and grow and flourish into who you were created to be. But the first thing you have to address is your thoughts, your mind, your action, your habit, and your behavior, because all of that is going to develop into your character.
All right.
So be patient through the process. You got to be patient through the process and don't give up at all, because if you give up, you're going to revert back to those old habits.
Mm.
A lot of men, they start resorting to liquor. They start relating to drugs and cigarettes and being a chain smoker just to quiet their nerves, because they can't find that peace of mind. They can't bring themselves to that peace of mind. But you could get peace if you desire peace. So that's where the desire comes from, because once you desire it, your mind and your body is going to follow it. Because I know at one point I desire peace and things start falling off, but I had to trust the process, and it have been over 15 years. And look what it have made me to be, a man of value, because why? I believe I am. And if I don't believe I am, I can't be nothing else than what I think I am. So what do you think you are tonight? So go back, think about it, and meditate upon it, and then say, you know what? I think I need to start making some changes. Or you already on the path, and be consistent, because consistency is the key.
Consistency is key.
But just make sure whatever you're consistent in doing is positive.
Right. That part.
That part.
That part.
Absolutely.
Well, Ozzie, I got to thank you for this conversation. I think it has been meaningful. Hopefully, again, the viewers are able to glean something from this and will put some of the things that we talked about into practice, and will share this with their loved ones, encourage them to, put their desire or make their desire line up with their purpose, be disciplined, and overcome that fear of criticism, which we talked about.
Absolutely. And it could be done. All you got to do is just tune into.
Miss Mary,
absolutely.
Search for me.
Absolutely, Mary.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the beginning of wisdom. That's the beginning of knowledge right there. It's to trust in God with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path.
Okay.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes. So use that willpower for a good purpose in
Yes.
life.
Yes. So, again, thank you, Ozzie. Thank you,
You're
viewers.
welcome.
I
Thank you.
do plan on being live on Wednesday. I'm hoping to get my mom on here with me. I'm gonna do a series of questions with her, so it's gonna be a fun "What Women Want" Wednesday. But let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep this conversation
Yes,
going.
indeed. It was a beautiful night. I'm used to be in the morning online, but this was a great evening. So I
Yeah,
really, really enjoyed my time chatting with you, Nicole. Usually I'm on the other end.
you are.
Typing.
Yes.
You
Usually
know?
you on the other end typing, but we appreciate you. We appreciate
Yes,
you.
I really grateful. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me that chance to share some words with others and to build and add value, because that's what life is all about.
Absolutely. So, to those of you out here, if you have any suggestions for future guests, future topics, let me know. Put it in the comments. Direct message me. Call me. Text me. Email me. Let me know. What you have in mind, and I'll try to accommodate your request. So, Ozzie, hang on for me for just a moment, and we will see you all next time. Have a happy holiday if I don't see you on Wednesday, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Happy Thanksgiving and
Thanksgiving.
man up.
And man up. Yes.